Good day, everybody. It is Calxiyn and Hunter here. If you guys enjoyed this video, remember to subscribe, become patrons over on Patreon to support the channel, and follow us over on social media. So, we have missed a couple RWBY comic issues. I think that I've been charged for 3, but only 2 are out. So I'm pretty sure that we're going to get another one soon. I think that that's how it works. So yeah, we're a little behind. We are catching up. This one was really nothing. It was
something.
Okay,
it was interesting world building.
I guess. But it was kind of just fluffy, I guess, compared to everything else. And
it felt quicker.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know why. I think it's because, like, we did 2-page view this time instead of, like, doing... Okay, so the .com for the comic thing has, like, a dynamic view option where it, like, zooms in on the panels and it's really annoying.
And
so
we finally decided that we were finished with that shit.
We had enough, okay? Also, okay, I feel like shit. Just want to put that out there. Get that out there. That's it. I don't really have much to say about that.
Can we talk about how, like, in this corner here, Ren and Jean appear to have the same face?
Kind of. I mean, I think Ren's nose is actually, like, really big right here. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, and so...
There's a very strange... we start off with RWBY hearing a bird, and it's a very
weird because
strange
you don't
metaphor.
see the birds.
Yes.
And you don't see the egg that the bird was in. You just hear about the birds.
We hear the egg being discussed.
It's like... Is what Ren's saying here true?
I have no idea.
About birds?
That they have to be able to break the egg so they can fly?
Yeah.
That isn't true because you break the egg and then they're like a little, like a chick. You know, they're a small bird and they still can't fly, but they're strong enough to get out of the egg.
I know it's all a metaphor, but she said, I just watch these baby birds fly away, but they don't fly right when they hatch, do they? Like, I don't know.
No, they don't.
Anyway, I just thought...
Unless birds are different in Remnant.
Maybe.
It's the metaphor is interesting, but
I understand
based
the
in
metaphor,
reality.
But I was just like, is that really how it works though, Ren? Like,
also,
hello?
like, who is that referring to? Is it referring to them? Are they the baby birds that have to break or broke out of their shell?
You sort of hear that it's these people that are bathed in their ignorance or something, have to break the shell and be strong and not believe lies or something. But it's about being
strong. It's not about failing to ignorance, which is kind of what they did.
Yeah, I guess, but she says it at the end, like you can either die in your shell or something. Anyway, this comic, DC Comics is just really edgy. And maybe I would have liked this when I was 13, and to be honest, I probably would have...
This isn't that edgy.
I probably would have... Not this part. Yeah. We'll get to it later, but it's like, I don't know, I probably would have written like this also when I was 13. Probably still would write maybe a little bit this way right now, but I was just like,
I read a lot of your 16-year-old writing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It gets back the vile huntsman.
And
so
Dr.
I really
Pole
like
is
that.
on the gates, like... Totally not focusing on the Grimm that's destroying and burning his whole village. Really concerned about the 4 teenagers who are trying to help them.
Basically, they fight the Grimm.
Yes.
Kind of. And so RWBY gets hurt. So they all do this formation where they're all holding up the shield.
Like a phalanx.
And she jumps over and she slashes it. And
also, I don't know.
She hurt herself.
I don't know why the frick it happens twice, but Jean's shield is apparently so massive that it can fit 4 people behind it.
I get it. Okay. However...
Really? You know who he looks like in that image?
Who?
He looks like I don't know the name, but the character from Steven Universe with the really pointy nose and like the
God,
triangular face.
Pearl?
Yes, he looks like Pearl.
Oh dear. Anyway, okay, look at John here. This is like a chase problem. This is why we stopped reading the Genlock manga for other reasons too. But okay,
he's so handsome over here.
Why are they making John hot? You know, like, the whole thing about John is that he's not supposed to be hot. He's supposed to be a nerd. Like, it's not that he's unattractive, but he's not, like, chiseled face with his nose and his eye, like,
it's weird
like,
because
you know what I mean?
He has a really, like, prominent chin, but in the other one, it's, like,
look at these cheekbones. Like, I don't know, they just made his face they made him very, like, manly all of a sudden.
It's like he goes from, like, incel... to Chad.
Yeah, and so I'm just like, can you guys, like, what are you doing? Even later, how RWBY is drawn gets kind of weird, but I was just like, really? Okay, this is what we're doing? I like this, though. Like, I like this guy yelling at them that, like...
Basically, because this is interesting because presumably they're all... Because in Volume 4, we see everyone really likes Huntresses, like... Or huntsmen and huntresses.
Yeah, the village and all that stuff.
The village helps John with his armor after they kill that Geist.
Yeah.
But in here, they're like, no, the villagers were very upset and they did not trust huntsmen.
So maybe
after
this is when it just started
Yeah.
compared to 6 months later. Because remember, like, Juniper stuff is after, or somewhere in between the time skip, right? Like, we have this vague sense of time because of Blake's situation, and they're attacking the school in 2 months. Actually, they're attacking right the fuck now. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of that stuff. So we have a rough idea, but I think, like, maybe this is, like, right after the message aired, right? You know what I mean? I feel like this would have been really interesting if they decided to put it in the show, because there's a 6-month time skip between Volume 3 and Volume 4. So this could have been in the time skip, right? Yeah. But my whole, like, idea, and I love this with, you know, RWBY and even Miraculous Ladybug, is what if there's, like, a cult of people, to jump on Miraculous for a second, like, what if there's a cult of people who worship Hawkmoth? Like, how interesting would that be to have sort of a group of people online? Because if you guys don't know, in Miraculous, one of the characters has a blog that updates and is all about the superhero. So I was like, what if there was an opposite blog that was focused on Hawkmoth? Like, in Miraculous, it sort of carries over to RWBY, where it's like, it would be interesting if there was now a cult of people that are sort of following Salem, because you have this guy saying the Black Queen is speaking to us. I don't know why I'm giving him this kind of accent, even though he's...
The Black Queen!
You know what I mean? But
revealing the truth about the schools have been trying... I don't know what
and so I thought it would be interesting, like, what if there are these people outside of Tyrion and co that worship Salem without knowing who she is, right? Like, what if they just worship the idea or get behind the movement of Salem? Like, that would be interesting in the show. You know what I mean? And so I posted a hot take where I was like, if I was doing a RWBY rewrite, I would just take out the entire White Fang and then rewrite it, like, just change it and all that stuff. And so now, looking at this, if I were to change it, it may be interesting that instead of the White Fang, there is the Black Queen terrorist, and they are doing it for Salem. You know what I mean? But they don't know who Salem is. Maybe. I don't know. Like, we can talk about the White Fang. I talked about it on Twitter, and I'm like, guys, I'm not saying that would necessarily be better, but it would tighten up some. It was right after we watched She-Ra. Nice. So I was like, She-Ra has very, like, basic, like, the Horde are bad, the rebellion is good, but the characters have a lot of nuance, I think, in them. And so I was thinking, like, RWBY has so many factions, like, what if we just streamline everything similar to She-Ra and, like, other shows like that, but like, develop the characters that were in these, just 2 factions more, because the White Fang is, like, another thing, and, like, there's just, oh, there's so much, guys. But yeah, now that I'm seeing this, I'm like, wouldn't that be interesting if there was, like, a group of people, like the Salem terrorists, but they weren't doing it for Salem, like Tyrion and stuff. They were doing it for Salem, like, for the sake of Salem, like, for the Black Queen that was speaking to them. Ooh, all of that stuff. You know what I mean? I kind of like that, sis. But anyways.
So Team RWBY are kind of... Here's the thing, is that they use some really good Penny images. I don't know if you screen capped it.
I did not screen cap Penny burning in the fire.
When they're talking about Penny and Pyrrha, we have, you can see in the flames Penny's face. And it's really interesting, and you should... read the comic so you can see that.
Yeah.
But I feel like them banking on Penny is kind of
awkward.
Weak now that we know she's, like, okay.
This is also literally right after Penny was revealed.
They must not have known.
No, they must have known. Because they did it right after. Like, they literally did it.
But, like, they would have had to have written this in advance.
Yes, but I'm sure Miles and Carey told them. Like, Miles and Carey have been in communication with the DC writers. But yeah, I wish that this part... I mean, obviously, they've said the DC comics are canon. They're showing bits they didn't get to include. And so I would consider this to be canon. And they would still
feel this way about...
Yeah, and I would consider this to be canon, and I would say, like, you know, 1 month after or a few weeks after Beacon fell is different from 6 months. Right? And so maybe the villages did learn to be less hostile over time to the huntsmen and the huntresses. But we just don't know, sis. So they all go into a cave and they're sad and they complain about it.
Yes.
And they,
they're concerned that, like, all of the the huntress and huntresses are soldiers.
And then Ren does a World of Remnant explanation.
Yes,
that looks exactly like a World of Remnant
and about
video.
how instead of, like, creating armies, they're now creating huntresses and huntsmen. And it's an interesting take. However, I pointed this out. Yang's glasses look like they were drawn on with a Sharpie. Yeah. Like, I understand that that's supposed to be reflections and light. But it literally
when you look at it, though, it's not really angled, is it? You know what I mean? Like, the thing of the glass is directed towards you instead of being on the angle it would be if you were looking at her from the side. Because it's supposed to be a side profile, and so, like, if you guys look at me and how I look on the side, you can't see my lens like that, you know what I mean?
It almost looks like it's like an eye patch.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, you lost an arm, Cinder lost an eye. Like, get it right.
I don't know. It's all very, I don't know, it's just all very strange. But you guys understand what I mean when I say that? It's like you guys would see more of the arm if it was a straight horizontal profile, but it's like,
right, it does feel weird
it
now
doesn't
that
look, if you drew the other side of the stick, where would that be?
Unless instead of being flat, it's like triangular.
Her glasses?
Yeah, so that if you look at the side, you'd be seeing them like this.
Anyway,
if I
need an answer. I need help.
Sometimes the art.
Look at Blake, and like this is just a side profile. You can't see the other side of her eyes. So if you were gonna draw glasses,
you'd see them like this.
Yeah, exactly.
You wouldn't see them like this.
So what is happening?
Unless she's wearing like goggles or the art. I genuinely like the art in the DC
comics. I like
comics,
the art style, but it feels like
once in a while it goes a little weird.
It feels like they cut so many corners with things, like you know what I mean?
Yeah, but like sometimes it's really excellent, like that penny shot.
Like I love this shot, but Yang's glasses are just so distracting. You know what I mean? It's sort of like I don't even know how to put it. It's just it just seems so straight. It seems like they're cutting corners. Instead of making Yang's glasses go to the correct angle, they just drew some on her to be done with it. After this entirely, like, beautiful sort of paint, like, you know what I'm drawing. Like, I don't know what they're doing, sis. And so anyway, they go kill the 10 manticores, right, in the village. And then RWBY, this is where people were quote tweeting the edgy thing because they were just sort of showing this part, and I definitely understand. Even with the rest of it, it's sort of a little.
That is, I mean, it's dramatic. What with the rain and like how pointed her hair is. I just hate
how her face looks in this shot.
I don't know. I find it interesting.
It doesn't look like her. Like I don't know.
Yeah. Although to be fair, not a lot of like Jean doesn't look like Jean. Jean in like the last screen does not look like Jean from one panel. Doesn't look like Jean from the other panel.
So I think this is interesting because I don't know. I understand the message. Like, if you want to listen to scare tactics instead of thinking for yourself, that's your choice. If you want to believe what some stranger tells you instead of what your eyes and ears show you, that's your choice. But I guess she's referring to, hey, Cinder told you this, but we're standing right in front of you and we're showing you that. Mm-hmm. But, to be fair, Cinder showed them a ripped apart android. Yeah. Right? Like, they did see something with their own two eyes, and so I feel like I understand RWBY's point. It's like, you think all huntsmen are bad, well, we're good and we're right here. But I feel like that the point gets misconstrued because, like, are you invalidating people's experiences? Like, no, they saw Penny, like, you know what I mean, get ripped apart. What the fuck else were they supposed to think? They don't have the insider information like you. You understand what I'm saying? And so it's just a little weird.
It is interesting that we get to see RWBY being angry. It's an uncommon kind of emotion for her. And I like that they're sort of exploring more of her personality. I do like the shot.
But birds that don't hatch just die in their eggs. I love it, but I also hate it. I don't know how to explain it.
I think it also kind of looks like she has a nose piercing. But with that one piece of water.
I think that the message is a little bit weird because it's like, how were they supposed to know? Like, you know what I mean? Like, everybody thought that Yang punched Mercury. Yeah. How are they supposed to know any fucking better? She did it. Like, she did do it. It's that Yang saw something in her, like, I don't want to say in her head, but Yang got projected something by Emerald that made her act like that. But towards everyone else, they all saw her punch Mercury. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that the eyes and ears thing is invalidated by other things that we've seen in the show, and I get RWBY's point, but it's sort of like, with Emerald already just existing, you already know that what your eyes and ears show you isn't the truth. Because, you know, what Yang saw wasn't the truth, and she punched Mercury for it. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? I'm just like, I get it, but I'm also like...
Like, they're somewhat reasonable.
Yeah.
But you're also showing them up that, like, no, we are good. And, you know, I don't know if you...
I get that part. Like, that they, you know, they killed the Grimm for them. Like, listen, hey, we're not trying to take over your village. Like, you know, things are good, right? But, I don't know. It's just, I feel like earlier in another panel, they were like, well, you know, they're supposed to be adults. They should know better. And I'm like, they should know better against what? They saw Penny get ripped apart. Yeah. Like, I don't know what to tell you, sis. Like, that was with their own eyes. So yeah, that was, I guess we're done. I guess that was the last one that we screenshotted.
But at the end of the day, like, the villagers learn their lesson after they come back and save them.
Do they really learn their lesson though?
A larger attack of Grimm, and then they open the gates. And I thought it was an interesting... It's a little interesting.
I'm just trying to say that with the other huntsmen we've seen, like Dee and Dudley, can you really blame them for thinking that huntsmen are just sort of in it for themselves at this point? Like, we've seen a lot of selfish, terrible huntsmen. And so that's what I basically mean. You four may be good, but there are a lot of adult huntsmen who I guess are all dead now in the continent of Mistral because Lionheart sent them all to their deaths.
And I think,
whoopsie poopsie.
And I guess
but that's sort of what I'm trying to say is like
that RWBY would be angry then because other people have ruined it for her.
Yeah, and I wish they would go more into that, especially because we did see Dee and Dudley, and they're like, we just got paid, and Crow is just like, where the fuck are your standards? Like, hello? Like, you know, and so that's the other thing I'm sort of thinking about is like, we've seen a lot of shitty huntsmen, and we've seen a lot of huntsmen that are like, it's just a job. We get paid. You know what I mean? Especially with the Aesops as well. So I'm just like, maybe the people in the village aren't wrong for being a little wary. Because a lot of adults just seem to do this because there's apparently a good paycheck in killing the monsters that can, terrorize your lives. So yeah, that was fun. But yeah.
The next one appears to be the
Blake and Yang. So I'm excited. I feel like this was just fluff to get to that. Thank you to all the patrons over on Patreon who support our channel. Their names will be showcased now.